you guys, let's make some 3D snowflakes. Now, to make these snowflakes, this video will ask you to stop and rewind a couple of times so that you can make multiple parts over and over again. So that's just a head up. Let's start with this first snowflake that I'm zooming in on. For both snowflakes, you'll need 3 pieces of paper, scissors, a glue stick, ruler, and a pencil. Start by taking your 3 pieces of paper and folding them in half so that you end up, once you cut them, with 6 pieces of paper. Once you have 6 half sheets of paper, go 2 at a time and fold them on the diagonal. So in the corner here, I'm going to line up my 2 sides so that that corner is even, and I'm going to cut off that extra in order to make squares. You'll do this 3 times so that you end up with 6 squares of paper. So I'm going 2 at a time. So that was 2 sheets. I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'll do the final 2. When you have your 3 triangles of 2 pages each, grab your ruler and working with the centimeter side, so the smaller side, line it up with a short side of your triangle. So my fold is on the left, and now I'm marking every 2 centimeters. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, so that I have these little dots on one side. Now, flip your triangle so that the fold is on the diagonal and working so that my lines are parallel to the top. See, I'm going straight across. I'm going to mark those lines, and they can be a little estimate. It doesn't matter if they're not perfect, but notice I'm not going all the way to the fold. If you go all the way to the fold, you're going to cut your paper and it's going to be completely separate. We want to cut, but we want to keep it one paper. So you'll see what I mean in a second. I'm going to start cutting, and I'll know I did it right if at the very bottom in the corner, it makes a little triangle. You'll know you did it right when you open up your paper and it looks like a feather or a leaf. Now, this was one triangle that gave you 2 papers. You're going to need to do this 2 more times with those other triangles. So rewind, go back until you end up with these 3 feathers or leaves that will actually give us 6 pages. So pause here if you're not ready. When you're ready, separate your pieces until you're working with 1 at a time and begin connecting the layers of strips that match to each other. So for example, I'm starting with the bottom, and I'm gluing them and pressing to hold so that I have a loop, a circle. Now flip your paper and working the opposite way, take the next 2 strips and hold those together. Now flip it back to we're at the front side. I'm going to add some glue, and now with my 3rd set of strips of paper, I'm holding. Now I flipped it, and I'm just going to do this all the way up until I'm left with the top, which I can't glue together, so that will be the tip of one of my snowflake sides. All right, when you're done, you'll have the first of 6 of your snowflake sides. It makes a really nice alternating pattern. Time to do the other 5. So this is going to fade out, but you're going to keep on going with all the rest of those papers until you end up with 6 sides. So pause here or rewind if you need to. When you have 6, we need to combine them. Working with glue, I'm going to add a layer to the bottom of one of my snowflake sides and press a second one down to hold it tight. Make sure it forms a good bond. Then add more glue and a third snowflake side. I'm going to make half of my snowflake. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the remaining 3 sides. Add some glue to the bottom and glue a second one and then a third until I have 2 sides to my snowflake. Now, combine the 2 sides by adding glue to one of the insides. Add a lot of glue, make sure it really sticks, and then really pack it in and pinch, 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 pinch to combine the 2 sides. After you've made the hold, you can kind of fold the papers in to get rid of any gaps. There's your first 3D snowflake. Now I'm going to show you how to make this second snowflake. The first few steps are the same. Starting with 3 pieces of paper, you'll fold them and cut them until you have 6 half sheets. Then, working with 2 papers at a time, fold on the diagonal until you have 3 triangles of 2 papers each. If this is too fast, go back to the very beginning of this video and watch it slower. Pause here while you work until you have 3 triangles. When you're ready, take your first triangle on the centimeter side of your ruler and line it up along the folded or the longest side of your triangle, about the 20 centimeters. Then find the 10 centimeter mark and then the 8, 6, 4, and 2 on one side and the 12, 14, 16, and 18 on the other. So they're 2 centimeters apart. Now, find the 10 centimeter point and lining it up so that it's even with the point at the top, the 0 and the top, it's about 10 centimeters. Mark 2, 4, 6, and 8. Erase the 10 centimeter mark at the bottom. I have 4 going up and 4 on each side. I'm going to line them up with my ruler and mark them so that the lines almost touch that top but don't quite. That's where we're cutting. So again, it shouldn't touch the center dot. I'm doing that on both sides. When yours looks like mine, cut along those lines, being sure not to cut all the way up to that center point. When it's folded, I think it looks like a tree or a tent. And here's what it looks like opened up. So check yours. Make sure you cut along the fold the right way, and so there's nothing that's separate or fell apart. When you've got this down, you're going to repeat 2 more times. So again, if you need to go back, this is going to fade out in a second, but go back, re-watch until you have 3 triangles completed or 6 pieces of paper total. So pause here if you need to. When you're ready, take your first piece of paper, so make sure you separate them and nothing breaks, so be gentle, and turn it so that the fold is horizontal. Okay? Now, we've got to glue stuff together. So I'm starting in the middle this time, and I'm going to add glue to that outer edge and curl my paper over to make like a straw. I don't know what that is in the middle, a loop. Now I'm going to flip my paper just like before. Add some glue to that outer edge and press to hold until it looks like, oh, it looks like a cannoli. That's what it looks like. Okay, now see how my middle kind of came apart? It might just be a little difficult for that one. So I'm using a pencil to just hold it so I have some added pressure without flattening it completely. It just needs a second to bond. Once the glue dries a little bit, it'll work. And now I'm going to keep on adding glue to the corner and attaching it to the opposite edge. And I'm just going to keep on going, flipping my paper every time until I have a bunch of cannoli shapes for the first side of my snowflake. And there you have it. So similar to the first one we did, but the pattern's just a little bit different. All right, make the remaining 5 until you have 6 sides for your snowflake. Voila! I really just love the positive-negative space that I'm seeing. All right, just like before, you're going to attach them 3 at a time until you have your 2 sides to your snowflake. All that's left is to attach the 2 sides. What I really love about these snowflakes is that you can make them as big or as small as you want. So these are already pretty big, about 12 inches in total across, but you can make them even bigger if you used whole sheets of paper, right? So if you made the square bigger, you'll end up with a bigger snowflake in total. All right, I hope you decorate your house with them and give yourself a lovely winter atmosphere.